Hello and welcome to Garden Tech. So today we'll be talking about different types of symbiotic relationships and their benefits for you in the garden. Now there are two types of symbiotic relationships that are really good for your garden. One of them is the symbiotic relationship in which one organism benefits and the other is not harmed at all. And then the other symbiotic relationship in which both organisms benefit and none of them are hurt at all. Now the first type that we're going to talk about is the both organisms benefit. The most common type of symbiotic relationship that you may be aware of in this form is with mycorrhiza. Now mycorrhiza is a type of bacteria that is derived from the plants that have nitrogen-fixing nodules in their roots, such as legumes, and then they also have a form of ability to go out and find nutrients. And so that's good for not only nitrogen, but it's good for a host of other nutrients. So when you put your bacteria in the ground, your mycorrhiza, the plants will create a symbiotic relationship with the mycorrhiza, and since the mycorrhiza need sugars to survive on, the plants provide the sugar from photosynthesis, and the plants simply trade for nutrients that are locked up in the soil that the plant might not be able to get to due to leaching, or just the fact that they're not readily accessible. And the mycorrhiza will go out into the soil and find those. And that way the plant can receive nutrients, and the mycorrhiza can receive sugars from photosynthesis, and they simply trade back and forth all the time. And that creates a really healthy environment for your garden. And another type of symbiotic relationship that I'll be talking about is the non-harmed and the benefit. And that is called a mutualism. And basically what you're going to be doing is planting a larger plant next to a smaller plant. Now a lot of people think that this wouldn't be considered mutualism, but in fact it is, because mutualism is any gain, any net gain taken from another plant's behalf. And so if you take spinach, for instance, and plant it below a pepper plant, in the summertime you normally can't grow greens. But if you plant below a shady plant, such as a tomato or a large zucchini or a pepper plant, and you plant a easy bolting green, you can last a little bit longer due to the shade that it provides onto the smaller plant. And so in that case it does not hurt the pepper plant whatsoever, but the fast bolting greens get a little bit cooler of temperatures from the shade that they will receive. The last symbiotic relationship I'll be talking about is with beneficial plants. Now beneficial plants are obviously a host. There's many different varieties of plants that you choose from for this, but I chose a couple that are fairly easy and really easy to acquire as well. Now one way you can do a symbiotic relationship is between a living organism and a plant, which is considered a biotic potential, and the biotic way of pollinating is by use of another organism. And so if you have a tomato plant per se, and you would like that to get pollinated quite frequently, plant it next to something like a zucchini, or a pumpkin, or a cucumber. Something that produces a lot of loose pollen. Oh, ooh, excuse me, I got hiccups here. But something that produces a lot of loose pollen. Because when the plants that produce a lot of loose pollen, they will attract pollinators, such as bees, hummingbirds, and butterflies. And those are beneficial insects for the garden in the fact that they will pollinate your plants. Another very beneficial plant that you can add to the garden is beans. Now it's debatable whether or not they actually help, because in my eyes it's somewhat of a hoax in the fact that they do fixate nitrogen into the soil. But that is only after they die back and you till them into the ground. The plant itself does not grow to benefit anything. There's no mutualistic motives for it. It's just growing to reproduce and do its duty in the world. And so it by nature, it does take nitrogen out, but it gives back more than it takes out. But in order to even get that, you have to till it into the ground. So, in a way, it is a very, very beneficial plant to other plants in the fact that if you plant beans, you can then till them in the ground in the fall time, and then in the springtime, you should have something called a green fertilizer, which is really good for your plants to feed off of. Another type of beneficial plant, and this will be the last one, I promise, is marigolds. Now, marigolds are really, really good in the fact that not only do they bring pollinators in, but they also offer some insecticidal properties in the fact that aphids, cutworms, and certain types of moths do not like to come near them because of the scent that they give off. And those are really good because if you plant them around your nightshade family or solanense family, which is tomatoes, eggplants, tomatillos, and peppers, they will provide a lot of protection because generally that family of plants are really affected by the aphids in the fall time. And that is all that I have for you, but if you'd like to ask any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. And as always, this is your techie gardener reminding you to get techie with it.